Week ago I watched Unbreakable because a couple of people suggested me that it was a very good movie and that after that I should watch Split. I watched the new Mr. Glass trailer, so it looked really cool. And I watched Split today, and now I want to talk about both these movies, but first about Unbreakable. What was interesting to me is that when people were talking to me about this movie, they kept referring Unbreakable as this kinda superhero film. This kinda is the reason I watched it at the first place. And after thinking about Unbreakable for a whole morning, I think I know where it comes from. Let's talk like this kinda word. Now talk about Unbreakable. I think we must first discuss our main character David Dunn, played by Bruce Willis. I think no other man explained his character better than one of my favorite directors, Quentin Tarantino. He said that David Dunn is a Superman on Earth, basically normal, like living normal life, but he doesn't know about his superpowers. And this is where we come to our second most important theme of whole movie, and that is the theme of belief. David Dunn is struggling to believe that he's a superhero this whole movie. The main person that pushes him to believing that he's a superhero is Elijah Price, played by Samuel L. Jackson. He has this syndrome because of which his bones break easily. Whole movie he talks that the reason that why David is superhero is that Elijah himself. He says if on the one end of the line there is a man that breaks easily, on the other must exist the man that can't be broken, unbreakable. This whole story about two men on the other sides of the line sounded very familiar to me at first, but I didn't really realize who said it till the very end of the movie. More on that later. So Elijah is the main force of the belief in this movie. But he doesn't have the proof for this theory about two people on the line. Only proof he has is David Dunn, or rather David if he becomes the superhero. But David can't believe that he is a superhero because till the one flashback scene he can't realize his desire, and desire is the most important theme of this movie. Till that flashback scene, David can't understand desire because his everyday life, especially his wife, is pushing him away from it. His son's desire is for his father to become a superhero. This pushes David away from becoming a superhero because his son fantasizes about this so much that he even tries to shoot him to prove that he is unbreakable. Also, his wife wants to start a new life with him. Their desires are pushing him away from becoming superhero. Their desires are blocking him from realizing his desire. And there is also a clever symbolism of New York in this movie. If you take away imaginary superhero cities like Gotham, most superheroes will reside in New York. And near the end of the movie, David gets a job in New York, and that says that he's ready to become what he's destined to be. David finally accepts that he is indeed a superhero in a flashback scene. He remembers that he saved his wife in this car accident, and he realized that his whole life from that moment he has been looking away from what he's really meant to be. He calls Elijah and asks him what he must do. And then there is a whole great metro scene where David is just standing there with his arms spread, touching people, realizing their crimes. Also, very important part of his transformation is Elijah's testing, of David's abilities. First aspect of a superhero is so-called super aspect, basically a superhuman aspect of a hero, like super strength or something like that. David realizes or finds this when he rises this incredibly heavy thing on a bench. From that moment he knows that he's special, but he still doesn't have that hero aspect. So the belief team is satisfied with the bench scene. His desire is realized when he remembers the feeling of saving someone, realizing that this is his destiny, not normal life with family. His destiny is to become unbreakable. After he finds out about men keeping a family hostage, he goes on a quest to save them. In that house he falls into a pool, and in that pool he finds a very important aspect of a superhero: weakness. Granted, not every superhero has to have a physical weakness, but similar to Superman, David is basically impossible to defeat. So like Superman, he must have a kryptonite, the water. He rises from the water, understanding what he has to do next. He comes to the criminal from behind and chokes him with his own hands. And while criminal tries to free himself, David should have been injured, but he doesn't have a single scratch. So David now basically have all marks of a superhero. He has power, he has physical weakness, all the desires are on the right place for a hero. Hero has a desire to save people, and very important thing, his love interest can't satisfy her desire for a normal life with the hero because of his alter ego. This is how Gwen Stacy can't never settle down with Peter Parker because of Spider-Man, or how Rachel chooses Harvey Dent over Bruce Wayne in Dark Knight because his Batman alter ego is forcing her to. But still, there is one thing missing in this movie, and that is a true antagonist. Most origin superhero movies have two kinds of villains. First one, in most cases, are people that are normal criminals for like terrorists that hero has to stop, and that is his first mission and the test if he is ready to become a hero. This is when Iron Man frees himself from the cave and defeats terrorists, or when Batman captures Falcone in Batman Begins. These are what I like to call origin villains. An Unbreakable origin villain is a man who kept like this family hostage, but that was not a main villain. Where is Unbreakable's Obadiah Stane, Ra's al Ghul, or Red Skull? I was asking that question all like the whole movie, but I just had to wait. Remember when I said that line about two men on the different sides of a same line sounded something that I already heard from a different character? When Elijah's mother said that hero's nemesis is someone that fights hero with their intellect, attacking their thinkings and not their body. This sounded strange for two reasons. First, to my knowledge, in comic books there exists only one famous example of this villain. And the second thing is that words about different sides of a line are said by that exact villain. And I finally realized, not in that scene, but after, when Elijah sits in a chair and waits for David. And his clothes is purple like whole movie, and I finally realized what was going to happen even before that they shake hands. Because Shyamalan wasn't inspired by any relationship for the relationship of his hero and nemesis, but the best that ever came from the pages of a comic book, the one of the Batman and the Joker. Hero that is the total opposite of a villain, order versus chaos. Here, like Mr. Glass, like the broken versus unbreakable. Villain that physically doesn't have any chance against the hero, and finally a villain that is created by a hero. That is the line that Joker often states. And a villain that lives for a relationship with the hero and not for some take over the world plan. And we finally come to Elijah's desire. His desire is to have a place in the world, explanation for his existence. He realizes that with his condition he can't be the hero of a story, but if there exists a man on the other side of the line, he can be the villain. And he will accept this with happiness. So now David has all that defines the hero, and what comes next we'll see in Mr. Glass. Till the next time, I will do probably like the split video, so see you next time. Goodbye.
What do we call you, sir?
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.